Hi everyone, my name is Nick from Coffee Before Arch, and in this first episode of Python 3 Crash Course, we're going to be doing the classic example of Hello World and Python. But there's a couple things that we should know first, and the first is, what is Python as a language and how does it compare to other languages? So, languages like C and C++ are something called compiled languages. And what compiled languages are, they're languages that we take the high level representation, we give it to a compiler, and then what the compiler does is turn it into machine assembly code. And so that code runs specifically on the particular architecture of processor, and it's generally pretty quick. The downside is the language can be a little bit tricky and a little bit rigid, and it's not always that flexible. So how do we overcome this? Well, we can make things a lot easier with something called an interpreted language. And Python is one of these things called an interpreted language. So what does this mean? So instead of compiling our program, what we do is we have, we can basically think of it as another application called an interpreter. And the interpreter is going to read our application as it's running, and it'll allow us, and it will automatically translate our code into whatever it needs to do kind of on the back end. So the difference is, because we're not running native machine code, it's usually a little bit slower. However, it's usually a lot faster to write because we can do some it makes life a lot easier for the programmer because we don't need to worry about how is this going to translate directly to assembly. We've got this intermediate kind of layer. So let's go ahead and open up our first file, which is going to be hello world .py. So we'll go ahead and open it up. So it's very simple. So anything with a it's called an octothorpe, but you can also call it a hash, £. So these are going to be comments. So anything that is commented, the interpreter will just completely ignore, so it doesn't actually affect the program. And then we have this simple function call. Now, a function just does something convenient for us. In this case, it'll print something out to the screen. And so we're printing out this string, a string denoted by the quotation marks, hello world. So how do we actually run this? So there's actually, so one of the ways that we run it is we can just go Python3, which is already installed. So there's also Python 3.6 as well we could run it with. So it's different versions of Python. We're just going to be doing regular Python 3. And then we call it with the function name hello world. And there we go. So it prints out hello world for us. We can also go directly into the translator. And we can do this by just typing Python 3. So now we're actually inside of the Python translator. And everything we write inside of the translator gets executed exactly how a Python program would be. So we can type print hello world in here as well, and it will print it out just like it would have if we ran it as a a standalone file. All right, so that's going to do it for us this time. All of the code that's used in any one of these lectures is going to be available on the Coffee Before Arch GitHub page, and so we'll go ahead and show that off right now. There's a number of series that I'm doing, including GPU programming with CUDA, some C++ programming, the Python programming, of course, and then there'll be some miscellaneous other side projects that are going on as well. So here we go. If we go to Python 3 Crash Course, if we go under Fundamental Concepts to Printing, we can go ahead and see here's that file we ran today. So feel free to download the repository and start playing around with the code, and I'll see you guys next time.